What is up, guys? Underkira now. I'm back with an audio video for you today. It's been kind of quite a while since doing an audio video, haven't we? But I had an idea in my head and I've decided to do it right now. So as the title says, Rebooking ECW December to Dismember. Now this is an interesting one to reboot because this has to be the worst, for me anyway, the worst WWE pay-per-view of all time. That's worse than King of the Ring 95. Worse than WrestleMania 11, worse than Great American Bash 2004, worse than Survivor Series 99, worse than WrestleMania 15, worse than them all. I mean, this one right here, on December the 3rd, 2006, from the reformed ECW under the WWE umbrella, which reformed in June of that year after the second One Night Stand pay-per-view. It had been a TV show for 6 months at this point, and this was the next and then the final ever ECW branded pay-per-view. I mean, pretty much on every level this show was such a disaster. I mean, it could be a whole video in itself just talking about how bad this show was. I mean, I could literally go for 25-30 minutes just going through how bad this show was, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, what I'm going to try and do, can I take the worst pay-per-view, WWE pay-per-view of all time, rebook that and give us a presentable show? Well, let's find out. So, yeah, I mean, this is one of the most infamously bad pay-per-views of all time. I mean, if WCW didn't have so many horrible pay-per-views, this might well be the worst mainstream wrestling pay-per-view of all time. I mean, I just can't emphasize enough how bad this show really was. Now let's look what the real card was, and then let's try to rebook this. So we had main event for the ECW Championship Extreme Elimination Chamber. The Big Show defending against Rob Van Dam, Bobby Lashley, CM Punk, Test, and Hardcore Holly, who replaced Sabu on the night. The Hardy Boys versus Eminem, that's a Raw versus SmackDown match. Balls Mahoney versus Matt Striker. Tommy Dreamer versus Daivari. The FBI versus Sylvester Terkay and Elijah Burke. And mixed tag team match, Mike Knox and Kelly Kelly versus Kevin Fawn and Ariel. Pretty sure that's everything. There might have been one more match, I'm not 100% sure, but that's a hideous show, right? So, and maybe one day we could reboot the WWE ECW brand. That might be an idea in the future. But for now, I'm just going to literally reboot this show and see where we go. And at the end of this video, we're going to have a little mini channel update. So stay tuned for that. So let's go. So WWE ECW December to Dismember. How are we going to start off this show? We're going to start off with one-on-one action. Super Crazy versus Jamie Noble. Because that's right. Because I've always done in these rebooking, I've always used what's available to me. So nobody that wasn't with the company, nobody that was injured at the time, nobody that was out of wrestling at the time. So can't use this show to bring in people like Jerry Lynn or Raven or Rhino or the Dudley Boys or people like that. But what I can do is take who's under WWE contract and then just switch them to the ECW brand to suit my needs. So, big example of this is Super Crazy. For whatever reason, I thought it was strange then, and I think it's quite strange now. When ECW reformed in 2006, Super Crazy wasn't a part of it. Now Super Crazy was with WWE at the time. Pretty sure he's still on SmackDown at this point. I don't think he'd went to Raw at this time. Maybe he had. And I'm pretty sure Psychosis was gone at this time. Because obviously him moving to Guerrero and Super Crazy came in as the Mexicos in 2005. The less said about that, the better. And yeah, Super Crazy, he was in the just kind of on a WWE contract and didn't really do much. So purposes of my rebooking is Super Crazy goes over to ECW, has a run there, and his opponent also Jamie Noble. Now, originally I was thinking about using Kid Cash for this match, but in doing my research, realised that Kid Cash was released from WWE back in October, so I drew blank there. Did think about doing Super Crazy versus Little Guido, but I've got a little tag team match in mind for that, so which I'll tell you about in a second. So I looked at the WWE roster, I thought, Jamie Noble? Yeah, Jamie Noble. Jamie Noble wasn't doing anything on SmackDown at the time. He came back in 05 after a pretty stellar Ring of Honor run, and then just kind of did nothing. Him and Kid Cash formed a little tag team called the Pitbulls for a while, but of course Kid Cash got released and Jamie Noble really did nothing. So for me, after Kid Cash leaves WWE, Jamie Noble jumps over to ECW, starts a little rivalry, super crazy. Then we get this match, so nothing too wild, nothing too out of control. Just two good wrestlers open up the show. I feel like open up the show this way with a good wrestler match, and you pretty much got yourself off to a good start. I mean, this can go 14-15 minutes, doesn't need to take up a lot of time, but give it enough time to have it develop into a really good match. I mean, these two guys were both really good workers. So yeah, I think this will get the show off to a pretty good start, and we're going to have a babyface victory, super crazy to go over to start the show off pretty hot. Then match number 2, we're going to have a tag team match, the FBI, Little Guido and Tony Mamaluke, versus Danny Doran and Roadkill. Now this is another one where I had to do some research, and when I was researching this, I realised that Danny Doran had been released from WWE about a week after this show, so at the time of this show he was still under WWE contract, and Roadkill was actually in OVW for quite a while and got released in about 2008. Now, Danny Doran and Roadkill, the last ECW tag team champions, were both given WWE contracts with ECW coming back, because that was one of the things when ECW returned. Quite a few of the ECW originals got WWE jobs, so Doran and Roadkill did. People like Boss Mahoney, Just Incredible, then other people like Sabu and the Sandman came to WWE, along with people who were already there, such as Rob Van Dam and Tommy Dreamer. So, at least at the beginning, you had a decent number of ECW originals there. Then, obviously, of course, over time, WWE just brought their own guys in, and pretty much Tommy Dreamer was the only ECW original that survived on the brand for a long time. So I thought, yeah, we had Dawn and Roadkill. They were both there. They didn't really do anything. But I think for the purposes of this, let's just have an old-fashioned 4 ECW originals having a good tag team match. Just let them do a lot of good stuff. I mean, Dawn and Roadkill were a decent team, in my opinion. I mean, they weren't really an outstanding team or anything, but when a lot of talent left ECW, Dawn and Roadkill were a good, reliable tag team, you know. In fact, with the final ever ECW tag team champions, like I said, I mean, Roadkill was the big guy, Doran was more of the workhorse of the team. So yeah, just let these two old ECW teams collide on this pay-per-view. And I think this will be a good match as well. Give this maybe 10, 11, 12 minutes. Doesn't have to be super long, but obviously give it enough time so it's worthwhile. I mean, this could be pretty much a spot fest where they can do a lot of fast-paced moves and all that. And then you can have Dawn and Roadkill go over to defeat the FBI. Now, match number 3, and it is actually quite hard to rebook this show because when you look at the ECW roster at the time, there's not a lot of great options. So I have opted to book a match that actually happened on this show, and that's Boss Mahoney versus Matt Striker. Now, of all the undercard matches, this was probably one of the less shit ones. Not saying it was good, but it wasn't that bad, really. I mean, to be fair. Right, sorry, if you hear noises outside, I think it's some truck backing up or something. So if you hear beeping outside, that's just something that's going on outside my house. Right, so anyway, so yeah, just book this match, because why the hell not? I mean, because like I say, there's not a ton of options. I mean, overall, I've got 7 matches on this card. I mean, the real card had 6, I believe it was. So I do have one more than the original show. Right, I'm sorry, I've just literally, right, let's try again. Try not to yawn during my videos this time. So yeah, whatever, this match will be fine for what it is, on its place in the middle of the card. And do the same result of Matt Striker go over to defeat Boss Mahoney. Now, match number 4, we're going Extreme Rules, and we're going original ECW, baby. We're going to have one-on-one the Sandman versus Tommy Dreamer, hardcore match, all that jazz. So you can have a little feud going between these two guys, and have both of these argue who was the heart and soul of ECW and all that, and who's going to be the one to carry this brand going forward, flying the flag of the classic ECW. Start them out as having a friendly rivalry, and then it started getting serious, then start becoming a blood feud again. Because these two guys did have a long feud in ECW back in 1994. I mean, there was two infamous storylines. One for when the Sandman caned Tommy Dreamer multiple times, and then one where Tommy Dreamer accidentally blinded Sandman and all that sort of stuff. So you can bring up all that history and just use this one to satisfy that old ECW crowd, and let two of their favourites have a match. Now for this one, just let this be all action, brutal, hardcore match. Just classic ECW, really. Just let this be for its place in the card. I think this will be entertaining as hell. Obviously, there'll be no wrestling to speak of in this one. This will just be pure brawling. I mean, you can pretty much do it all. Barbed wire, tables, and all that sort of stuff. And then maybe for the finish, have Tommy Dreamer set a flaming table on fire, hit Sandman with the Dreamer Driver through the flaming table, and Tommy Dreamer can get a big win over Sandman. I think this would be a pretty good match to book on the card. Now, match number 5, Bobby Lashley versus Hardcore Holly. So that should indicate two things: that if we have an Elimination Chamber match as a main event, will we or will we not? Maybe. You'll find out pretty soon. Bobby Lashley is not going to be in this, because obviously on the real show, Bobby Lashley was in that match and Bobby Lashley won the ECW title, and that was not a very popular decision, to say the least. I mean, I could imagine the Twitter and all that was a big thing in 2006. How fucking annoying people would be, and especially on YouTube as well, how annoying people would be about Bobby Lashley winning the ECW title. As a matter of fact, I remember people on the internet were pissed off about Bobby Lashley winning at the time, but obviously if we're going to have Bobby Lashley still in the ECW brand, so we're going to have him jump ship to ECW, then Hardcore Holly's going to take issue with this, saying, you're just going to walk out this ECW brand and take over. I don't think so. I've been in this company for 12 years, and I've seen like punks like you come and go. So basically, Hardcore Holly's going to be the veteran that dislikes a young guy, because let's face it, that probably wasn't a big stretch. I think Hardcore Holly was a great addition to the ECW roster in 2006. I mean, it's a guy that had been around the block a few times, been around since 1994, and then turned it to Hardcore Holly in 1999. And at the time was just a really good veteran. Obviously, being in the hardcore division back in the Attitude Era, was familiar with the hardcore wrestling style. And then when the ECW brand needed guys to fill out the roster, Hardcore Holly came back from an injury around the same time, and he was on the brand, and I think for a while had a really, really good run, had a really good mini feud of RVD, and probably, my opinion, that September 2006 match of RVD, you know, the one where Hardcore Holly tore his back open on the table, that was probably the best match Hardcore Holly ever had in WWE. I can't remember the exact date. It was sometime September 2006, but I think I'd genuinely give that a 4-star match. I think that match is definitely a good watch. So, and I just felt this would be a good first feud for Lashley to have, because for me, I think Lashley would have been so much better off if he came to ECW and got built up to win the ECW title instead of just win the ECW title right off the bat. And even when he won the title, it was obvious this was just something for him to do before something bigger came along, because he was champion for a while, and then the whole Battle of the Billionaires thing came up and he was involved in that. And to be quite honest, when he had that WrestleMania match of Umaga with Vince and Donald Trump, he might as well not even be the ECW champion, because he spent most of his time in Raw anyway. And then the feud with Vince, and that just led to, and we don't want to go into detail about Vince becoming the ECW champion. Good God, that was horrific. And that pretty much destroyed ECW completely. But yeah, so I think this would be a good first feud with Bobby Lashley. Get him in there with a veteran like Hardcore Holly, who can work that stiff style and have an entertaining match with him. Because there's one thing about Hardcore Holly's matches, they were stiff. I mean, if you watch Hardcore Holly work, you know, this ain't no pussy, guys. This was a tough guy who laid it in, made everything look good. Give them about 10 minutes, this match doesn't need to go too long, but just let Hardcore Holly make Bobby Lashley look good. Then Bobby Lashley can defeat Hardcore Holly. Now, this is just a little buffer match between this and the main event, and just bear in mind this was TV 14, this was 2006, this was different time, and this is kind of what the audience enjoyed back then, so I'm rebooking this show for the purposes of the time, and that's the brand panties. We're going to have a brand panties match between Kelly and Ariel. Now, would this be a horrible match? Yeah, but in like the late 90s and the early to mid 2000s, pretty much before WWE became PG, I mean, this was way before the women were treated how they are now as serious wrestlers. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of young males, like teenagers and young male adults, were watching wrestling at the time and like to look at hot women. I mean, that's just how it is, and like, none of these brand panties matches were actually good matches, but they did the job on the card, and this would cool the crowd down before the main event. I mean, Kelly, oh my god, she was like 19 at the time as well, and holy shit, was she smoking back then. I mean, well, she still is, to be fair. I mean, I've seen her quite recently, and yeah, she is pretty damn hot. And then Ariel, aka Shelly Martinez, came in as Kevin Fawn's manager, doing the vampire gimmick, and yeah, I liked her as well. I thought she was pretty damn hot. I mean, so yeah, just pretty much just let these women have the typical rivalry, who's prettier than the other and all that. Have all these cat fights and all that, and then you get this match. Just give this match 3 or 4 minutes. Does not need to be a long match at all. Just let it have its little time. Then you can have Ariel beat Kelly, strip her down to brand panties. So Ariel gets a win. And then the main event for the ECW Championship, Extreme Elimination Chamber. So we're keeping the concept the same, but we're going to just some slight alterations. So in this match is the ECW champion, The Big Show, Rob Van Dam, CM Punk, Test, Sabu. So in real life, I'm not entirely sure the reason why. I don't think it was an injury. I don't think it was a suspension either. Maybe just backstage politics or whatever. On the night, WWE took Sabu out of the Elimination Chamber and replaced him with Hardcore Holly. So whatever the reason, I'm correcting that, because I feel like Sabu would have been great in this match. This environment would have been great for him. And then one more guy I'm putting in there is Kevin Fawn. So that was one I was thinking. I was originally thinking about Mike Knox, putting Mike Knox in there, because he was a sort of push guy in ECW at the time. I mean, he had a little feud with CM Punk, and there was a recipient of probably one of the most hilarious moments ever when Shawn Michaels super kicked him and pinned him in Survivor Series, and he turned to Triple H and was like, "Who was that? Who the hell was that?" I mean, granted it was kind of a burial of the guy, but let's be honest, it was kind of funny. Then I thought, Kevin Fawn, now that's a guy who I think could have. I look at his career, he's realised Kevin 30, and I just feel like this guy could have been so much more. So this guy originally was Mordecai back in 2004, and that's always going to be those one-if gimmicks to me. I mean, that gimmick had so much potential, and at the time it looked pretty much nailed on that at some point we were going to get a Mordecai Undertaker feud. But the character didn't get over initially, and then WWE just scrapped it, and I just kind of feel that was a bit short-sighted. I just feel like if WWE had stuck with that Mordecai character, they could have made it work in time. I think it literally just needed a bit of time to develop, and then the guy went back to OVW. But then he got another chance in WWE in 2006 when ECW relaunched, came back to ECW doing the Vampire Kevin Fawn gimmick, which, to be fair, I feel like that gimmick could have worked a little bit later on. Now, they obviously did the vampire thing because ECW was on Sci-Fi and he wanted a couple of science fiction type characters. That's why we got the zombie on the original show, but please don't make me talk about that. And I just feel like if he came along when Vampire Diaries got popular a few years later, I just feel like he could have really been a bigger star. And he did okay on ECW for a while. Got on WrestleMania 23 in the new breed and then just kind of fizzled out. Then left WWE in about maybe 2008-ish, I think it was, and then just hasn't really been seen in wrestling since. But for me, I'm putting him in this match because I think that'd be kind of interesting. So, how are we going to reboot this show? Well, we're going to start off with CM Punk and The Big Show. Now, one of Paul Heyman's big gripes about this is what Paul Heyman wanted to do was have CM Punk and The Big Show start off the match, then CM Punk shocked The Big Show by putting him in the Anaconda Vice and tapping him out in the first few minutes, and then CM Punk was supposed to go on to win the ECW title. Now let me explain everything later on, but for me, I'm gonna use Paul Heyman's idea. I'm gonna have CM Punk and The Big Show start the Elimination Chamber, do that. Have CM Punk tap out The Big Show right there in the middle of the ring in the first period. Because I feel like, and I'll explain whether I'm going to have CM Punk win the title in a bit, but I just feel like that would be a huge shocker. Because at the time The Big Show was on his way out of WWE. I mean, his contract was coming up, and I think he had a lot of injuries, and he just wanted to take time off, and that's what he did. He took a year off WWE, came back in early 2008, and that would have been a great way to put over CM Punk like a motherfucker on the way out, and then so CM Punk could tap out The Big Show. Then next in the ring could be Sabu. So Sabu gets released from the chamber, and then him and CM Punk have a 5-minute period where they just do a lot of cool moves, have a few cool near falls and all that. Just the typical type of things you see inside the Elimination Chamber. Then we can have next up Kevin Fawn could come out and then break that up, and then obviously Punk, Sabu and Fawn could do battle for the next 5 minutes, and nobody's going to be eliminated during this time. Then the number 5 man, Tester's going to come out. Then Tester's going to be the big guy coming out like a house on fire. He's going to do a lot of cool power moves to the guys. Then in this period between number 5 and number 6, Tester's going to eliminate Kevin Fawn, hit him with a big boot, get him out of there. Then it's going to be number 6, the final man to be released from his pod, is going to be RVD. Then we're going to be down to 4, Punk, Sabu, Test and RVD. Then we're going to go through some cool spots again. Then we're going to have RVD. We're going to have a big spot where Tester's in a table in the middle of the ring. RVD's on one corner, Sabu's on the other. Then they do that spot where they both do a double look. They both come off the top rope and hit Test with a leg drop through the table. Then they're both going to pin Test. So Test is going to be eliminated, and it's going to be down to CM Punk, Rob Van Dam, Sabu. Then we're going to get a few more cool moves. And then we're going to have it where CM Punk then eliminates Sabu, and now it's down to 2 men, CM Punk versus Rob Van Dam, the first man in CM Punk versus the last man in RVD. I mean, for me, if WWE did this right, CM Punk versus RVD could have been an awesome feud. I mean, this match never ever happened, and I really, honestly, God, I really wish it did, because I just feel if this is a feud in 06 into early 07, I just feel like this could have been awesome. I mean, this could have really helped CM Punk become a bigger star more quickly. I just feel like this would have appealed to a lot of people. And even when RVD came back in 2013, obviously then I was kind of disappointed we didn't get it then either. I mean, that even if you did it one time on Raw or something, I think that would have been really, really sweet. Then of course CM Punk left wrestling in 2014 and matches never happened. I mean, it just would have been interesting. So then after this, obviously this, when it comes down to this, you can have your typical Elimination Chamber finisher where you essentially have a mini match. So this could go on for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes of Punk and RVD just trying to one up each other, trying to beat each other. Honestly, I think this would have been a ton of fun then, because we've seen some great endings to Elimination Chambers in the past. I mean, going all the way back to Triple H and Shawn, the original one. I think my personal favourite was probably the No Way Out 09 with Triple H and The Undertaker. Edge and Ray in 2011. That was pretty awesome. So this could be pretty much like that. And for this one, the upset is not going to happen. RVD is going to defeat CM Punk to regain the ECW Championship. Now, that's one thing I will disagree with Paul Heyman on. I mean, I just feel like CM Punk wasn't quite ready to be ECW champion at the time, but I do feel like if I had him beat the Big Show early on and then just lose out in the end to RVD, and bear in mind he starts the Elimination Chamber as well, so he goes all the way to the end, I feel like that would have enhanced him, but I feel like CM Punk needed a little bit more time to get to that level to become the ECW champion. And now I know this is obviously this is fantasy booking, so there's an obvious reason why WWE didn't put the ECW belt back on RVD because of the whole drug bust thing back in July. And obviously between then and the end of RVD's run, him and WWE weren't getting along. And obviously after what happened, WWE weren't really going to go back to RVD as ECW champion because of what happened and all that. But in my fantasy one, I'm going to have RVD go over to regain the ECW title. I just feel at the time he would have been a better champion than Bobby Lashley, because I just kind of feel if ECW would kind of just been brand more for the hardcore type. So basically the type of crowds, the fans that watch AEW and NXT now. I mean, if WWE had used the ECW brand to be essentially what NXT became several years later, I just feel like it would have had a lot more success, and I feel like RVD would have made much more sense. So yeah, that's it. So how was that, guys? Was that better than the real card? I would like to think so, but if you want to comment on that, please do in the comment section below. Now, before I go, just a couple of minutes talking about this channel. So now that G1 Climax is out the way, that was taking up most of my time watching, and because I've been working as well, so I do work as well. I don't just sit on YouTube all day. I do actually have a job and stuff like that. So when I've been watching the G1s, I've obviously, especially like the last week, I've not been watching most of the G1 live. I've had to go to work, try and stay spoiler free, watch the G1. So reviewing G1s took up a lot of my time, but now that's out the way, I'm kind of free again. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to complete the WCW collection, and I'm going to pick that up later this week. So we've got 5 pay-per-views to go. Uncensored 97, we have Great American Bash 98, Road Wild 98, Fall Brawl 98, and finally World War 3 1998. So they're going to be done, out the way, done and dusted. And then now let's refer back to an older post, or a community post. I was looking at some of my old reviews from like 2012, 2013, and I just think, I'm so, like, not to put myself over or anything, but I do feel like I'm so much better at doing reviews now than I was back then. And I just look at some of those, so really the old Survivor Series, the old SummerSlam big reviews and that, I'm just looking, these aren't very good, are they? Some of the fontings all weird and wrong, and then just, in particular, the summary, because nowadays I go into a lot more detail in the summary and all that, and back then I just did a few lines and that was it. And I'm looking at that and thinking, I could do so much better than that. So what I'm going to do, obviously I'm not going to go back and redo all my reviews, because that would take forever. But I look like I probably am going to redo all the big fours. I'm going to do them till 2013, because I feel like 2014 is when I picked up the game, and I was doing a lot better reviews then. So the Survivor Series is a couple of months away. I'm gonna start with the Survivor Series. But what I'm gonna do, because I've seen these shows a lot of times, I'm not gonna bother rewatching most of them. I'm gonna do most of them off memory and just redo the reviews again. But I might change a couple of star ratings here and there. But most importantly, I'm gonna do it with the new style font, and then when I'm going to do like a much more in-depth summary about it and all that. So I am going to do Survivor Series, but in over time I am going to redo all the top 4s up until 2013. So Survivor Series 87 to 2013, but I'm going to keep from 2014 onwards the same, because I'm pretty satisfied with those reviews. But it's the early ones that I'm not really satisfied with at all, to be honest. So I am going to do that. Not sure when, but it will be in between now and Survivor Series. And all the old Survivor Series will be re-reviewed, and I'm probably just gonna do that, and I might just slowly over time redo all the Royal Rumbles, WrestleManias, and SummerSlams up until 2013. So just keep an eye out for that. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.